Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 days, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You really deserve it. Let's watch.
Something new.
Something new. It's like it's a monkey wrench of sorts. You don't know what to expect.
Monkey
so it
what?
could get in someone's head. Oh, it's an expression, monkey wrench.
Okay.
I don't know where that comes from, but it's like a curveball. Or a surprise, something you can't really predict.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, so they had sex, and she was saying that it was awkward, and not terribly. She said she liked it. It was nice, she said, and that it took him a while to get used to having sex with a little person. And she's asking him, how was it? Were you scared? He's like, well, I wasn't scared. I was just more like, well, I don't know what to expect here. And so, it's a good conversation to have. And like from the beginning, I've been applauding the show for presenting this, for representing little people and differences in body shapes and sizes, and not making it a joke or not making it like a pathology or something. The two of them are navigating it really well, I would say.
Being with a little person to some degree feels almost like being a virgin. There's a lot you don't think of in terms of position, size, what's acceptable. Like, I want to treat Alina well, but I'm trying to also navigate, what might feel demeaning because of our size difference.
That's interesting. That's, I think, one of the most advanced things we've heard from him. He's saying it's different, and I have to get used to that, and I want to get used. I want to get to know. And I also don't want to be demeaning to her. Yeah, that would be interesting, because up until this point, we've seen him navigate that seemingly with some level of non-care, if, like, I don't know what to say, like recklessness, that he would say, well, I'm just going to pick you up, or I'll just carry you. And that could be hurtful, right? She might say, well, I'm not a cat that you carry around. I want to be treated like a human being and autonomous. But on the other hand, seems like sometimes she does like to be carried. But in bed, how does that translate, right? He might think, well, does it mean that I shouldn't do this, even though I feel like that would make it easier? Would that be demeaning? Would that be taking away her autonomy? Also, what kind of kinks do the two of them have? Right? Like, there could be some dominant kinks, or either direction. So he's talking. So he's asking the questions, and those are the good questions that I think he should be asking himself and asking her.
Is it okay if I throw her around a lot? Does she want more autonomy? And then having sex, some positions don't work the way you would expect with a tall person, and you have to figure out new ways of doing things. It was a lot of fun. We definitely need to do it more to make it natural to us.
Great. I mean, he even used the word autonomy, which is great. And he's asking the questions, and she seems totally up for the getting to know each other. And really, this is true about all sexual relationships. It's very frequent that it takes time to get used to each other. It takes time, regardless of differences in body size. I think this is really healthy.
I mean, I was nervous, that's for sure. I really thought maybe something would go wrong and then we can't be friends like we were anymore.
That never occurred for me.
Oh.
Being intimate, I feel like, only opened us up further.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for this show, this is absolutely extremely healthy. They're having a conversation. The thing that you're not seeing is the conflict and the insecurity and the attacks and the withholding of emotion. And because you notice earlier in the interview, she's like, yeah, it was nice. It was a little awkward, and it was nice. Meaning, I think, could have been better. It's not the best I had, but we're getting used to each other. It takes time. And for him, she's being honest. She says, I can't remember the word she used, but it was pleasant. And he's like, oh, that sounds like something you'd say, in a different context. And so she's like, uh-oh, I kind of hurt his feelings, but I don't want to lie. So she's like, no, it was amazing, but I want to keep you on your toes. So, what we're not seeing is the attack, and the attack would come from a place of insecurity. The attack would come from a place of hurt or fear of, I'm not lovable, because you could have another couple where this doesn't go well, or for him where he doesn't feel like he was considered to be the best lover of all time, which a lot of men are told that they're supposed to be, which is ridiculous. How can every man be the best lover on the planet, right? So he could have taken that as an attack on his masculinity, on his toxic masculinity, and was hurt by that and, pulled away emotionally. So there's a lot of things that they could be doing this moment that they're not doing, and that's important to recognize. And something that I talk with a lot of couples about, sometimes they'll come into my office, sit on my couch, and they'll think about the past week, and they'll think, actually, I think everything, I can't really think of anything that's immediate to talk about, because usually there's some conflict that happened. But if they don't have any conflict, then they'll say, well, we don't really have anything to talk about. And it's, sometimes, and when I'm training other couples therapists, they don't know what to do in those situations. Like, well, and you can, as a therapist, you can feel insecure about yourself. Like, oh, I'm not useful to them unless we have something really meaty to get into. I'm not of any use. And then my insecurities, kick in as a therapist. But instead, there's another route, which is, well, if you didn't fight, that's not an assumption that there wasn't anything to fight about. There were probably many opportunities to go down a road where fighting could have happened, but you decided not to. So, we're seeing some evidence of that for sure. All right, well, that does it for that episode. If you want to become a patron of the podcast, that's how you can show that you like what we're doing here. When you become a patron, it really, in a very practical way, fuels what we're doing here. I would not be able to do any of this stuff if it weren't for the patrons. And every month, there's a certain amount of people that are dropping off. So we always need like a new, fresh group of people to sign up desperately. So if you're thinking about it and you want to do it, click the link below, go to patreon.com, go to Psychology Seattle, and become a patron. That would be super cool. It really does mean a lot to me and the pod wife. So everyone out there, if you want to do that, do it. And also take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.